Success shouldn't feel this exhausting. If you're winning on paper, but burning out behind the scenes, you aren't failing. You're stuck in a psychological bottleneck called a hurdle of stop. I've been there. On the outside, things look great, but I was secretly burning out, convinced I was just lucky, and waiting to be exposed as a fraud. I realized I didn't have a business problem. I had a mindset block. Whether it's imposter syndrome, perfectionism, or fear or failure, these aren't just feelings. They are growth bottlenecks. Identify your specific hurdle and get one immediate action step to regain your momentum today. Go to tuepodcast.net/quiz. That's tuepodcast.net/quiz to take the 3-minute assessment and get your report now. This is an Undiscovered Legacy production.
Don't tell me I can't do something. And that's a driving force. Don't tell me I can't not do it. Or don't tell me I can't do it, because that's going to make me do it. You have to have that drive. You have to have, there's something, if you don't have a drive about what you're doing, then switch it up. Do something a little different and find a different thing in your passion. Don't necessarily stick with what you believe needs to be what it is.
Are you ready to unlock your entrepreneur potential? Are you ready to break free from all the barriers holding you back? Then you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, your first step in getting across the start line. I'm your host and guide, Scoop, and I'm here with one mission: to help you overcome the obstacles standing between you and the start of your adventure. Whether you're dreaming of launching a startup, creating the next big app, or turning your passion into a thriving business, this podcast is your launch pad. Together we'll navigate the challenges, overcome hidden boundaries that stop us from starting, and learn how to overcome them with the help of others and experience them right along with you. So are you ready to take that crucial step to transform from aspiring to inspiring? Then let's get across that start line together, right here, right now, on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. Hello, Scoop Believers, and welcome to episode number 83 of the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, and it's me, Scoob, coming at you to whatever device we happen to be listening on. Okay, so before I do any introductions today, I want to make a couple of really super special announcements. Okay, announcement number 1. I have put together a speaking engagement for us as Scoop Believers on October 22nd. That's going to be held at the Four Seasons Inn in Branson, Missouri. So they have a little bitty stage there that I'm going to use, and I'm going to do a live broadcast for everybody here, all my Scoop Believers online. And if you just have to be in the area, please come see me there. It's going to be October 22nd at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Look for invites on Facebook. Look for them on Twitter or X, whatever. Look for them on LinkedIn. I have invites in all those places. So make sure you check those out and save yourself a seat for my very first live talk that I'm going to do on a stage. Okay, and thing number 2, I just started a brand new Facebook group for all my Scoop Believers out there to be able to talk to each other and probably talk to a lot of the guests that I have in my podcast. If you have questions for them, want to talk about their services, want to talk about their experiences, look for Across the Start Line, the Undiscovered Entrepreneur Facebook group. I will have the link to that in the show notes. So if you want a very easy way to join that, talk to me directly or talk to any of my possible guests that I've had there, please do me a favor. Do that. Go down to the show notes right now or go to tuepodcast.net/Facebook group. That's tuepodcast.net/Facebook group. All right, so today we are talking to an entrepreneur, very good friend of mine, Joe Burgess. Now, Joe Burgess came from being brain dead for 5 days after a major accident to become an entrepreneur focused on helping others master their mindset. His journey from severe brain injury to business owner showcases the power of determination and resilience. And let me tell you something. This guy's got some determination and resilience. He was fascinating. And despite being told he never overcome his anger issues, Joe has transformed his life and now aims to help others change their lives in just 5 minutes a day. That's all it takes sometimes, is just 5 minutes a day. This unique approach combines insight from his personal struggles with cutting-edge understanding of conscious and the brain. This is going to be an amazing interview. Don't miss it. So let's listen to my friend Joe. Salutations, Scuba Believers, and we are here again with another amazing entrepreneur. Today we're here with Joe. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Hey, buddy, I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day today to be on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, getting across the start line. I really appreciate you.
It's as much for me as it is for you, my friend. We're all one in this universe.
All right, Joe, I do have one kind of semi-serious question to ask you. Are you ready?
Of course.
Okay. Are you a scuba believer?
Of course.
All right.
Wouldn't I be?
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for being a scuba believer. I super appreciate you.
No worries. No worries.
All right. So, Joe, what I'd like to do here in the very beginning is get an idea of who you are, what your entrepreneur adventure is, and how you got across the start line in your entrepreneur adventure.
I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily over the start line. I'd say I do have my LLC and I am licensed in the state of Florida. So I do have all that. My journey began a long time ago with my issue with my head injury. So overcoming those obstacles has been a lifelong, or all my adult life, I've had to learn how to overcome obstacles. So that was never learning how to overcome any obstacles wasn't really an obstacle or a problem for me, because I've been doing it since I was brain dead for 5 days. So the obstacles of my business have come with getting down, feeling like I'm not doing enough and things like that. I mean, I don't know if I'm trailed off. I may be on a different topic now, because I don't look, this is my issue that I actually see in other people. They come into a problem. See, I look at life as a solution waiting to be discovered. There are no problems in my life. There's a solution for any problem that I can find. And that's how I process. So I don't look at obstacles as obstacles. They're just another step of our journey to help us learn what we need to learn, so that we're able to come to reach the destination that we want to get to. Me personally, I needed to relocate to Florida. I needed to surround myself with people who were like-minded, people who were smarter than I was. I don't believe in ever being the smartest person in the room unless I'm alone, or when I had a dog, my dog. But so I believe in surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you. If you want success, then you should surround yourself with at least 5 people who are more successful than you to get where you want to do. And people who have done it, talk to them, be friends with them, hang out with them if you can. I've spent a long time never thinking that I was good enough. And so I sat there and I learned and I learned and I learned and I learned. And I just kept compiling all this stuff. But because of my head injury, I don't remember things. So I learn one thing now, and then I move into another aspect, and then move into another aspect. So I'm constantly changing, and it's made me who I am. But I have the information in my unconscious mind. So occasionally I'll see something that will trigger something in my mind that will be like, hey, this is the way that it is. And so I feel like I'm talking way too much. I want to hear from you.
No. That's the nice thing about a podcast, is you can talk as much as you want. And I will interject things every once in a while that kind of pop into my head. But this is about you, Joe. This is your story. So don't be afraid to tell us what's going on.
Okay. I can break it. I'm hoping that this honestly helps a lot of people, because I will share vulnerabilities with you that people may be able to relate with, but I don't look at vulnerabilities as a weakness. I look at it as a strength to overcome. So I was like for recently, I've had to learn my lessons about communication. I understood communication within the body. I understood verbal communication, but I didn't understand like social media communication. Years ago, when I joined Facebook, I started joining groups and stuff, and people were like, the trolls were commenting and doing whatever. And I didn't know how to deal with it emotionally, mentally. And so I quit going to the groups. So then I recently started a couple months ago because I was trying to test out the market and see what people were into and what are certain triggers for people and what were things I could learn about different aspects of the marketing aspect of my business. And so I just started talking to people, and then I would comment and posts, and then people would like, you automatically get the negative people who are like, my biggest thing was I turned my weakness, and I went to an ADHD support group, and I told them, I posted, I turned my strength into a weakness. My ADHD, I turned it into a superpower. Everybody blew up. So many people hated me. So many people were like, "You're such a hater. You're such a gaslighter." So then I stopped going to that, and I completely left that group because the women in that group were like treating me like I was a case study, and they're talking to me like they talked to me when I was in the hospital. And so I'm very sensitive to that. So I don't, if I see a line of questioning and I know what your line of questioning is because I've already been through it, I've already experienced it. So I understood that. So I just left that group. Then I started paying attention to traumatic brain injury support groups. And then I got the same thing there. I was telling that I would give advice and all this kind of stuff. And so many people would comment, I'm gaslighting them and I'm like making myself like above them and putting them down and putting them under my thumb. And it's like, that's not my intention at all. My intention is literally love. When I was a kid, my mom told me that I was a being of love. I held that all my life. And then I realized that when I got in my car accident, that I had the separation from that state of being. So then I just figured out what the gap was, and then I overcame it. And then now I understand how to process it. I've recently I got turned on to hypnosis again because there was a hypnosis academy that I watched on Instagram or YouTube or some on Facebook, something. And it really intrigued me because he was talking about like the science behind why hypnosis works. And that is exactly what I do. That's why I do what I do. That's how I got out of my negative state of being. It's how I'm able to, when I see an obstacle, it's not an obstacle, it's not an issue, it's a solution. So, and because of, I studied hypnosis and self-hypnosis because I studied the brain. I studied the mind. I mean, being brain dead, you want to understand as much as you can about yourself first and foremost. So I did that. And then I started learning stuff that was about other people. And then I started learning more stuff that was like about more people. And then started learning more stuff about more people and more people. And so it was evolved into what I'm doing now. I'm literally the most famous person in the world who is not yet discovered. And because with what I know, it's being able to use the realm of hypnosis as an ideology, then I break it down into, okay, we have the conscious mind, which is this is our conscious mind. Our nervous system is responding to stimulus. Then there's our subconscious mind, which is our experience. So our experience will dictate how our conscious mind will interpret. So then we have the unconscious mind, which is also the part of our core being that is essentially our belief structure. So if you believe this, that, or anything else, then that's going to be your version of reality. Then that version of reality uses the subconscious mind to filter out how to go through things and how to, okay, this is you. I believe this. My memory tells me that my experience is this. So it's a parallax. So there's two visions looking at a single point. And then the conscious thought uses the moment is perceiving stimulus. It's perceiving time. It's reality. It's we're sharing this moment in time because we're both breathing at this exact moment. If we weren't, then we wouldn't be sharing. One of us would be. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
It's we're both breathing, and that's the most important thing. Is when you start to get overwhelmed, just stop and breathe.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's why a lot of people say when you're feeling that frustration or feeling that something, take a step and just take a breath so you could calm your mind and start processing things the way it should be instead of being in fight or flight or freeze mode. You could take that second so you can understand what's happening with you. You know what I could do for you here? This just popped in my head as you were talking here, Joe. I have a friend of mine who is a hypnotherapist that I actually recorded a couple times with, named J. Robert Parker. I could put you in touch with him if you want to talk about hypnosis. He would be more than happy to talk to you.
Great.
Yeah, the other thing that kind of hits me is we all, especially when we're just getting started, it seems like the first hurdle that we have to go through is getting through the trolls, getting through those people that don't believe in you or don't think that you could do what you do. But the one thing that always comes across my head when I talk about trolls or I hear about trolls is hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
A lot of these people that are out there trolling or doing really have something going on with themselves, something going on in their head that's negative that they just seem like they have to project it out to somebody else to make themselves feel better. So sometimes when I come across trolls, which we all come across trolls in our entrepreneur adventure, I think about, I wonder what they're going through right now that makes them have to do this. And the other thing too is community. It's sometimes, especially in certain situations, it's hard to find a very supportive community to understand what you're doing or understand what you've gone through, because not everybody's gone through what you've gone through.
Right.
So they can't process it or they can't understand it. So they tend to go to the negative, because if there's something that we don't understand, we tend to go negative about it. Exactly. So sometimes we have to start our own community. I mean, we can start our own community about, hey, this is what I've experienced. Will you join me in that kind of thing? So, I mean, sometimes that's what we got to do.
That's actually a good lead into the fact that my Facebook group, Mindset Mastery LLC.
Now, tell me a little more about that.
It's not really a lot going on. I just recently started it. There's 74 people so far who are.
That's a good start.
I'm basically I'm not having a lot of interaction yet, so I would love your audience to join it and start some conversations. I'm a huge conversation person, so I post things in a inquisitive way. I believe that. So I was talking about hypnosis and all that. So we are what we believe, and so then if we hear outside of what we believe, then it's going to either instill fear because we're going to be offended, we're going to feel attacked, or we're going to be curious. I'm trying to figure out how to reach into the curious group. The curiosity is what I'm after. The people who, if you're curious about anything in your life, then it's the solutions are there waiting to be discovered. And that's that's where I get off in life. I love helping people figure out what they need to do to figure out what they need to do. Whether that be you ask me something and I trailed, my ADHD, I so apologize. But I just help people do what they do. Oh, the page. There's just stuff I'll start posting as more people come about just things about how to have a proper mindset of ways to deal with things. I'm a very firm believer in love and fear are our emotional response. So then everything is just, all the feelings are just a subset of those emotions. So when we're angry, we're fearful. When we're jealous, we're fearful. When we're joyful, we're loving. So that when I was talking earlier about being a being of love, that's what it evolved into. Was I somewhere along the line, I picked up that our emotional response is love or fear. And I don't remember exactly where it was that I heard it, read it, or saw it, or was told it, but that always stuck in my mind. So I've always sought that solution. Technically, that's my reticular activating system. So it's that with focusing on a specific thing. And then every time I found something that applies to that, then I just latch onto it and I write it down and I take notes and I write about it, trying to put all the pieces together so that I can help people as quickly as I can possibly help them. A lot of people have 8, 10, 12-week programs, and I have a 6-week program. And like, you get done what you need to get done so you can do what you need to do. I don't believe in wasting time. And I just, if you want to waste time, then I don't necessarily have the time. But we need to get stuff done in this world. We need to stop being fearful. We need to learn how to process and overcome our fears and our obstacles so that we can become the best versions of ourselves.
That's right. That's the way to do it too. Overcome those fears. Do you happen to know the acronym for fear? Have you heard that before?
Everything in one, but I also look at it as false energy appearing real.
Close. That's very, very close. False evidence appearing real, but it's pretty much the same thing.
Yes, I did. Actually, I think I came up with the fear everything in Ron. I applied Nikola Tesla to the fear energy in Ron. So everything is energy. So, and that's what a big part of what I do is everything is energy. So everything is positive or negative. Everything is a state of resonance until it's met by chaos of some sort. So, yeah.
It makes perfect sense. Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you this question. When it comes to getting across the start line, what do you think holds a lot of entrepreneurs back from actually getting started?
Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear that somebody else is better than them, fear that they're not good enough.
Yeah, that actually wraps around a lot of what we talk about in my podcast. Imposter syndrome, fear of failure, all these things that people that they really think they have to worry about to even just start something. I mean, even just read a book or ask somebody a question or join a Facebook group about what they're thinking. They're so scared about what can happen. What does the future hold? What if I keep going along? And getting over the start line is the first step of actually getting over any of those fears, because you start realizing that this is something I can do. This is something that will help me. If we don't start, there's no finish.
Exactly. With that being said, my mind, I don't know how anybody else's brain works because I'm not in their brain. So I know how my mind works and I understand how the brain works and all that kind of stuff. So my brain, every time you mention these things, these stories are coming to me, and that are like over the years. And the things and what got me over that obstacle was the imposter syndrome or the perfectionist and all that kind of stuff was 80-20. So when you start, like 80% is good enough to pass. And that's all you need to do is just have 80%. Because then that 20% is still there for the future, for you to learn, for you to get smarter, for you to overcome. The 20% is the obstacles that you don't know how to overcome. The 80% is it's committing. It's set your intention. And then when you set your intention, the universe will start putting things in your path. Every single person that's going to listen to this today is going to be exactly where they need to be to hear this information. And if they don't hear this information, then they're not supposed to be in that location. Meaning that's the thing. There's so many marketing tactics and all this kind of stuff. And is mine good enough? Is this good enough? And every single marketing tactic works for somebody. I'm sure that it works for all the people that you like get 10 million followers in 2 weeks. And I'm sure that doing what you're doing and having your connections, having your abilities, I'm sure that it's possible. But trying to say that I can do that, or saying that I can make $1 million in a year doing what you told me to do. When I was in second grade, my teacher tied me in my chair because I kept getting up and walking around the classroom. So I've had ADHD my entire life. So somebody trying to tell me what to do is part of the reason why I am who I am. Because when I got out of the hospital, even when I was in the hospital, I went on a Friday, I walked 100 feet. And then on the Monday, I walked over a quarter of a mile. My physical therapist told me that she had never seen anybody do that. It was like amazing, whatever. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Then I started walking more and more. Then I was fine with my walking abilities. Then doctors told me that I wouldn't do this. They told me I wouldn't do this. Then I took a neurological evaluation that said I'd never have impulse or anger control. That's exactly why I learned everything that I did, because they told me that I wouldn't be able to control my mind. Don't tell me I can't do something. And that's a driving force. Don't tell me I can't not do it, or don't tell me I can't do it, because that's going to make me do it. You have to have that drive. You have to have, I mean, there's something, if you don't have a drive about what you're doing, then switch it up, do something a little different, and find a different thing in your passion. Don't necessarily stick with what you believe needs to be what it is, because when you believe something is a certain way, then you're allowed to fail. Your expectations may not meet. So you're going to get upset. You're going to get frustrated. And when you're upset and frustrated, that isn't going to help you with anything, because your mind is in a survival state of consciousness. So if your mind is sitting there looking for a fight in everything you're doing, then you're not going to be open to the opportunities and the availability of of the universe to actually show you new things and show you a new way of doing it. Because that's what I needed. If I would have been born, raised Catholic, and I were still Catholic, and I believed in all that kind of stuff, I would be nothing of what I am. But when I started learning about spiritual stuff and about like spiritual guides, and just that's when I don't know, you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When I started opening up my existence, that's when the dreams and the visions started coming to me, and the truth started coming to me. And I would have places like, I would go places and not know how to get there, but I would end up there. And it was like I had plans already in my mind of how to get there, but because I was open to the universe showing me the way. Exactly. I don't have, when you relinquish control, that's when you have the most control. Because if let's say we have two people working for us, if you don't trust those two people to do their jobs for what you hired them for, then is the problem with them, or is it really with you? And that's what you have to figure out. It's when you hire somebody, or and we'll just use the example of hire somebody. When you're hiring somebody to work for you and do their job, if they're not doing their job, then they get fired, right? I mean, it's a thing. So you just have to learn the communication, because if the communication is bad, then there's going to be resentment. And then, because I have a whiteboard up there, and I have a problem list and a solution list. And in business, the problem is communication. If there's a problem within the business, so you're not communicating effectively, efficiently. So changing the verbiage of the way the words are communicated, the way that, because with what I believed, I was stuck in what I like thought in my mind. But when I acknowledged what my feelings were, my emotional body, then they were conflicting, and I couldn't find the balance. But then once I finally found the balance, that's when I started to actually manifesting. Because when you're having confliction between what is good, moral, just, I feel valid for selling this product, or the imposter syndrome too. That's a big part of this too, because I'm not worthy of. I have a $10,000 program. To be honest with you, if you want to work with me for a year, I'll give you a $20,000. I'll sell you a $50,000 program, because I know what I do works. And it's not a matter of selling it to sell it. It's getting you the results, so that you don't need to struggle, so you don't need to fight, so you don't need to have the issues. So I look at it, this all sounds grandiose, and I may sound crazy, But I once met a nuclear engineer that worked for the government. He was some really smart quantum engineer type kind of guy, had 4 master's degrees. He got moved around from place to place because he worked for the government. He was developing a battery for Lamborghini. He was just a super, really smart guy. And I met him when I first moved to Florida. I didn't know him from anything, but then I knew he was smart. And I had this theory in my mind about perception of reality and all this kind of stuff. And I told him what I thought. And he's, yeah, that's the Lorentz theorem. And so it's the stuff that the hypnosis, that's a huge, I sound crazy, but that's why I'm my role model. Because I've done all this stuff and I figured all this stuff out and I put it together, and I just want to help people put theirs together. It begins with love and fear. Then with love and fear, you have comfort and uncomfort. If you're not comfortable, then you're in a state of fear, because comfort is homeostasis. So it's not really that hard to understand. It's more or less breaking down the barriers and understanding the cause as to why you are the way you are, because we're all limitless potential. I mean, we can do whatever we want to do, except we're being held back by what our mind is telling us is possible. So if we don't believe that I'm worthy of $10,000 or $5,000, then you're not going to be. Whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right.
Exactly. And I've heard that many times from other entrepreneurs too. Whether you're wrong or you're right, you're right. So I like the fact, first of all, going through the 80-20 rule that we talked about, there's a lot of things you can apply that 80-20 rule to, whether it's 20% of what you do is 80% of this. There's a lot of ways to do it. I'm going to let you all take that into interpretation. But I think the thing that kind of strikes me most is when we have a negative problem or somebody tells you can't do something, there's several ways that you can take that. You could take that as, well, if he thinks I can't, then I probably can't. Or we could say, just watch me, right? And I think the part that you take and the part that I take too, so I think we have a lot of common ground here, is if somebody tells me I can't do something, I tell them, just watch me do it, and I will do it. I will set my mind to where I need to be and what I need to do to accomplish the thing that you said I couldn't accomplish. And that, I think, really what sets entrepreneurs apart from anybody else that thinks they can't accomplish something. And I think that's why we are entrepreneurs, of who we are and what we do, is because we take those little cues, those little things about what we do in our day-to-day lives that most people say, you can't do this, or are you crazy to do this? And then we say, watch me, just watch me do this. And then suddenly we do it. And not only do we accomplish what we set out, but we learn things on the way to accomplishing those things that said that couldn't be done, and learn new things that we can accomplish.
So earlier when I was talking about the verbiage within a business and the communication, that's where what I was talking about earlier. So when you said that, it dawned on me that you don't understand what I think or what is going on in my mind. So when you can or can't do something or whatever, it's, I have the ability to do this or I have the inability to do this, because either if the information is still there. So either your brain processes as I can do this or I am unable to do this. So if I am unable to do this, the only thing that you need to do is learn. You just have to fill in the gaps with knowledge. And this is actually more monumental than hiring a coach or anything, because if you can figure out your own gaps and then you can fill those gaps yourself, then you've just done something that not very many other people have done, which makes you more valuable, makes you more powerful, makes you more insightful, because you're advancing. So human consciousness begins with a survival state. Then that survival state, it expands its knowledge base or its information. Then it becomes, the knowledge base expands. Then as it gains the knowledge, it begins to understand it. Then it begins to affect it or apply it to life. Then it begins to comprehend it. Then it gains the awareness. So those are the levels of consciousness. So in hypnosis, like I've done this. So the ability to so it's state, what is that? I forgot. Trance state. If you like, a trance state is a focus. If you're focused on something, all you have to do, sometimes you can just touch somebody, you can tap somebody, totally take them out of the trance state. Or if somebody's incensed, like angry and fighting with somebody, stop, breathe. Earlier we were talking about something, and I have the 4-second rule. I used to have road rage, and that was my way of dealing with that. Was I don't know what they're going through in this life. And right now, their wife may be at home or in the hospital. They may be racing to get their sick child or whatever. I don't know what's going on with them. So any time that I need to stop, and we all observe, we have the availability to observe triggers. So the thing I'm saying, if somebody is going to cut you off and what your response typically is, then you can manipulate your behavior so that you enter into a different scenario. That's where my 4-second rule applies. If I'm unhappy, if I felt myself starting to get angry, if I felt myself start becoming anxious, I would just stop and take my foot off the gas for 4 seconds. And so that would let the car move on, and I wouldn't have to deal with them anymore. And then I could just start my journey again. And I've taken that same approach with a lot of things. It's when somebody's starting to make you angry, just step back and just take a second and breathe and just reapproach it. I mean, that's literally the flee response. Is when you're fleeing from something, it doesn't mean that you're running away. It just means you're stepping back so you can get a clear head. Because when you're fighting something, you have all your chemicals, all the emotions going on within you, all these memories and all these things that you're going to take it personally, and you feel attacked because they're attacking you when it's just an idea that may be different than yours.
Yeah, if you know that that response is coming, if you could recognize the signs of that emotion that's coming on, you're more likely to be able to control that emotion, take those 4 seconds. I mean, just feeling that coming on and recognizing it's coming on is half the battle, because you know how to respond after that if you already know what's coming, right? And that takes a lot of time. That takes repetition. That takes awareness of your mental abilities. That takes awareness of your surroundings, so you know that's coming.
It's your emotional response to stimulus. So if by understanding your emotional body, that's what I do in meditation. We go through this different phases of why we are. Hypnosis does it too. It's like meditation is like that's how I did it. I did self-hypnosis with my meditation and all that kind of stuff. So I learned all the triggers, and I learned all that. That's how I came up with all this way to do the stuff. I've never heard of anybody else talk about what I'm talking about, because I don't know that anybody else really has thought of it, at least put it together the way that I have. There's pieces of, I'm not who I am because I am who I am. I am who I am because there are a lot of brilliant, genius people who came before me that I can look at Einstein and I can understand the fact that he sat on a train looking at a clock, pondering whether or not that time was perceived by the same way as him riding on the train as a person standing on the side of the road. I didn't think of that. He did, but I'm expanding on that consciousness, on that knowledge of, let's perceive it this way. For example, I was watching a astrophysics show on TV, and an astrophysicist was talking about something about a car coming down the road and slamming on the brakes and swerving, and then her jerking and knocking her coffee off the table. And they had a picture on the TV of a coffee cup tipping over and all this kind of stuff. And she was explaining time in that process. And that's where that understanding from that mechanic or that engineer that I don't even remember. I'm so drawing blanks on. He was just a super smart guy, but that's not actually time. Time is actually our nervous system. The way that our nervous system is responding to the stimulus that it's perceiving, that's time. Everything that has happened before is your observation. So what you think has happened before has only happened to you. Nobody else has experienced that. Not even a twin can say the same thing because they've experienced two different realities, because their nervous system perceiving stimulus, which is traveling through the amygdala or through the hippocampus, through the amygdala, the frontal lobe. That's each of us. That's all I am. That's all you are. But I have a narrative that I'm expressing based on my experience that gives me the insight, the knowledge, whatever, to share with you and whoever's listening to expand your consciousness. I'm huge. I went to a International Brain Injury Association conference when I was trying to get a nonprofit head injury nonprofit going, and I didn't know what to do. I was stuck. So I heard somebody say, find the biggest summit, conference, whatever you can find, and go to it. And so I did that. So I went to the International Brain Injury Association conference in New Orleans a few years ago, well, about 6 years ago now. And I just went in there with some pamphlets and some brochures and leaflets. I didn't know what I was doing. I was completely clueless, but I didn't allow fear to stop me from doing anything that I needed to do. So I did it. And I'm sitting in the audit the lobby of the hotel, and I'm watching all these neuro professionals walk by, and all of a sudden another guy who has a nonprofit for head injuries called Bison Brain Injury something, he sat next to me and we were talking, and then they ended up going into a conference room to listen to some lectures. So I followed him in. I'm like, is it all right if I go in? And I wasn't invited or anything, so I was just sort of tagging along. And I was sitting there talking, and there's a presenter up there, and he was almost done. And he said, who of us actually understand? He was talking about consciousness. And he said, who of us actually understands consciousness? And in this room of 500-600 neuroprofessionals, doctors, neurosurgeons, neuropsychologists, I raised my hand. I'm like, I do. And they just all laughed at me. And so that kind of set me on my path. You're laughing at me because you don't understand what I'm talking about. And to me, it didn't offend me. It was just the whole thing of, you can't do it. Really? Seriously? You're going to give me a challenge to overcome. I've already overcome not being able to walk, talk, breathe, brush my teeth. I've already overcome that. I've overcome all my anger issues. I used to punch things constantly because I had so much rage within me. So there were things that were destroyed all over my house, my ex's house, my car. So I've overcome all those obstacles because I was told by the medical field that I would never overcome those obstacles. Now I am who I am, and you couldn't make me mad for anything. You might upset me. You might make me fearful for a second, but as soon as I figure it out and understand what's going on, that's my thing with politics. I don't want to talk about it, but there are both sides, and I'm not saying either side is right or wrong, because they're a nervous system that's processing stimulus. And it's just, anytime you start to get heated about anything, it's pull back. With what I do, with what I teach, with what I help people with, it teaches you how to pull back and then just, okay, I believe this or I don't believe this, and I don't need to give it any attention. I don't know. I'm just a huge person in helping people figure out how to deal with day-to-day struggles and problems, and whether it be life, relationships.
It's because you've been through it. I mean, you've already experienced it for yourself, and now you want to share those experiences with other people to help people with what you've learned for yourself, what you know works for you. So if you know it works for you, it's got to work for somebody else too. And you want to have those services and be able to expand and help other people, because that's what we do.
Indeed.
I'm going to ask a different question here. If you were to come across a new entrepreneur like yourself, would you be able to give them any advice? Do you have advice for new entrepreneurs possibly?
Put yourself out there. Don't be scared to put yourself out there. You can't, nobody is going to listen if you're not getting yourself out there. If you're not going to be heard, you need to be heard by specific people sometimes, niches. If you can't find your mark. My thing is that in high school, I learned a lot about marketing because my dad owned a business all my life growing up, since spring before I was born. He had a Volkswagen auto repair shop in Michigan. And so I've always been associated with business. I've always had a business mind. And because my brother's own businesses, my sister's own businesses, my brother-in-law's own. So it's just in my family. So I've always had, I was always taught by a marketing teacher in high school that you can market anything and it'll sell if you market it the right way. And so that's been my biggest thing, is figuring out how to market and who to market to. And I'm trying to do it literally from nothing to something. Like I'm doing this. It's part of my journey. It's part of my story. It's part of my movie. It's part of my book. It's all of this is part of that. I started writing my book years ago and I didn't know how the end was going to be. And I didn't know the last chapter of the book, but this is the last chapter of this book. So it's figuring out, going from a brain dead state to, hi, I own this business that's thriving. And so, and all the difficulties in between and what I've overcome. And it's a lot like what you do. It's what you're trying to do. I've just had a different experience in my life that gives me a different perspective and insights into doing stuff. So I commend you for what you do because it's helpful and useful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Joe, speaking of, what I'd like to know here is, in the next 6 months, where do you see you and your business? I mean, do you have a 6-month goal for yourself and your company?
And to be honest with you, I have a 6-month and then I have a 10 to 12-month goal. And it's going to sound absolutely crazy, but it's going to sound crazy. I need to get a couple of clients. And once I can get a few clients, then I can understand. That's the last thing I need to do, is understand how to get clients, paying clients, people who want to change their life, who are not coachable, people who want to grow and expand. And then once I can find them, then I want to move into group coaching sessions. And then that will just go into a big part of what my knowledge about all this stuff is, and I've been trying to figure out how to do this for 15 years. So I've gone over all kinds of stuff and I haven't had money all the time. I'm on disability because of my brain injury. So I'm literally doing something that I shouldn't be doing at all, but I'm doing it and I'm proving everybody wrong once again. So if you want to help prove somebody wrong, I'm the guy to help you do it.
There you go. So, Joe, what I'd like to do with you is, in 6 months, I'd like to actually have another interview with you, just like this.
Yeah.
Follow up with you, see if you're able to accomplish getting a couple clients under your belt, maybe even starting a few group coaches, and see if we've accomplished that. Is that okay, Joe?
I would love that. I would love to share this journey with you, my friend.
That's what we're going to do.
This is gonna turn into something, because I'm not just a small little fish in a pond. I have plans. I've seen things. We'll get there.
I really think you could do it, Joe. I really do.
I know
you have a lot of good things going for you. I think you could accomplish all this if you keep going the way you're going.
I know I can. I don't need you. I do need you. I support you and I appreciate it. And that's not what I mean, but I believe in being a mental badass, no matter who you are, because that's the only thing you have when you're at your lowest point. So if you can have a good mental health, then then everything else is just bring it on.
There you go.
Let's do this.
All right, Joe, this is your time to shine. This is the time I want you to talk about how we get a hold of you to be able to get your services and all that good information. Okay, ready, set, go.
I can be reached on JL Burgess on Facebook. I can be reached at the Myth of Perception on Instagram. I can be reached at Joseph L. Burgess, JOSEPH LBURGESS on LinkedIn. I have a YouTube channel, which is Mindset Mastery LLC. I have a TikTok, which is Mindset Mastery LLC. If any one of those ways you can get a hold of me and we can figure anything out. I don't have a website because that's the whole building this thing that I've had my personal issues with. I spent a lot of money on trying to figure all this stuff out. And so I'm very leery about, I'm just trying to find things organically, more or less. And because I know that I'm going to do stuff, I know that I'm going to be stuff. I've had people already talk to me about big stuff. And I'm actually also applying to be on different TEDx stages. So that will be coming soon about how to change your life starting in just 5 minutes a day, because that's what I do is change your life with starting with 5 minutes a day.
All right. That's amazing, Joe. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. I really appreciate you taking the time out today, okay?
Thank you very much, my friend.
All right. All right, Scoop Believers, make sure you stay tuned for the wrap up. All right, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Joe Burgess. What a fantastic gentleman. So many stories to tell and such a great, his presence is absolutely awesome. Something I learned from all of this is to embrace your challenges as opportunities for growth. Joe went from being brain dead for 5 days to becoming an entrepreneur and a mindset coach. Can you believe that? Every obstacle you face gives you a chance to prove yourself and others wrong. Don't let anyone ever tell you what you can and can't do. Use those doubts as fuel to drive you forward and achieve the impossible. And if anybody says you can't do it, you tell them, just watch me. And then go out and do it. It doesn't get much better than that. Transform your mindset to transform your life. Joe teaches us that understanding your emotional responses and learning how to control them can lead to profound personal growth. Start with just 5 minutes a day and focus on self-improvement. Remember, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. A very special quote. I love that one. So choose to believe in your potential, choose to face your fears, and take control of your narrative to create the life and business that you desire as an entrepreneur. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for another fantastic episode, and we will see you on the next time around. All right, everybody, thank you. Goodbye. And there you have it, future entrepreneurs. We've taken another step towards our journey to get across that start line. Remember, every great business starts with a single idea and the courage to pursue it. You've already shown that courage by joining us here today. As we wrap up this episode of The Undiscovered Entrepreneur, I want to remind you that the start line isn't as far away as you might think. With each bit of knowledge you gain, each fear you face, you're getting closer to launching your dream. Until our next episode together, keep pushing, keep dreaming, and most importantly, keep taking those steps across the start line. They'll all add up to big strides in your entrepreneur adventure. This is Scoob, your guide across the start line. Remember, your future is waiting. I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. Hello, Scoob Believers. Let me ask you a real quick question. How many cups of coffee have you had today? 3, 5, 7? And let me guess, you've got a Red Bull in the other hand just in case, right? Yeah, I see you. Now, here's the truth bomb nobody wants to hear. You're not building a business. You're building a caffeine dependency. Listen, I get it. When you're grinding 12, 14, 16-hour days, you're building something from nothing. When you've got payroll to meet, investors to impress, and visions that won't wait. You need fuel. But what if I told you that the fuel that you're using is actually slowing you down? What if the very thing that you think is keeping you sharp is actually making you dull? Enter Rise Coffee. This isn't your grandma's mushroom tea. This isn't some hippie wellness trend. This is science meets performance. And here's what makes Rise different. Less than half the caffeine of a regular cup of coffee. But here's the kicker. You won't miss it. 6 organic powerhouse mushrooms, including cordyceps, what Olympic athletes use, and lion's mane, what Silicon Valley biohackers swear by. Sustained energy that doesn't spike and crash. We're talking smooth, clean power from morning to moonlight. Crystal clear focus without the jitters. Imagine closing the deal with calm,
confident mind instead of the caffeine chaos. Gut health and immune support, because what's the point of building an empire if you're too sick to enjoy it? So here's the challenge to you. Stop borrowing energy from tomorrow. Stop running on fumes and call it a hustle. Stop wearing your caffeine addiction like a badge of honor. Real entrepreneurs optimize, real entrepreneurs adapt, real entrepreneurs win. You can't win if you're crashing at 2 p.m. while your competition is just getting started. Break the cycle. Head to risesuperfoods.com right now and use code PODNA15 for 50% off your first order. That's PODNA15 for 15% off. Try it for 30 days. If you don't feel the difference, if you don't feel sharper, calmer, more focused, more alive, then go back to your 6-a-day cup habit. But I'm telling you, we won't, because once you feel what real energy feels like, you'll never go back. Ditch the addiction. Fuel your empire and rise up. Rise Coffee, energy that builds, not burns.